Oh boy. So this is meant to be a response video to my Twitter friend Silly Muddle, which I love the name. I think it's a great name. Um, but since I don't know your actual name or whether you are a man or a woman, I am going to just call you, for lack of a better word, silly, and refer to you in the masculine. I hope that isn't offensive. Not that you couldn't be a woman, you could be. I just think that you're not for some reason. But I don't have much evidence to go on. So, anywho, wow. Okay, you don't want to talk to me in person. I think because you believe I might do some Jedi mind trick on you. And when I say Jedi mind trick, I'm obviously talking about street epistemology. We don't have to do that if that's what you don't want to do. That's perfectly okay. A conversation needs to be really an agreement between two people um, as to what we're going to talk about. You know, if you aren't comfortable answering street epistemology type questions, which are just questions about your epistemology, fine. On the definition of epistemology, I'm going to look that up real quick because, with all due respect, I think you are using it wrong. Um, it's sort of this epistemology is this theory of knowledge, right? How do you know what you know? What method do you use to determine what you believe and how justified your beliefs are, right? So, with that out of the way, um, I think that needed to be done because I'm not sure that you're exactly using it, at least in the same way that I am. And because when I use it in a sentence, it sounds different from when you use it in a sentence. But anyway, our conversations obviously go way back, right? I think this started because you didn't agree with something about street epistemology. Totally fine, of course. Oh no. Oh, we haven't gone too far back. But anyway, what? Oh yeah. Okay. So we were talking about, I think, why you believe. And again, on the subject of street epistemology, if you're satisfied with the way or the if you're satisfied with your epistemology, like the reasons that you know what you know, fine. But based on something you said today, I'm not entirely sure that you should be. And that is the point, right? That is the whole point. I think, and what this comes down to, I think we can agree on this, is whether or not Christianity is valid or invalid. We won't. I mean, of course, there's a sub topic there. Does God exist? And I think we can't know that unless he just comes out and reveals himself to everybody. But I think what we can do is pretty much tell that Christianity is not what it is purported to be. If the Bible is our only way to know the mind and nature of God, when we start looking at things outside the Bible to check the validity of the Bible, it falls to pieces. It doesn't hold on any topic. But that doesn't matter, right? Because that's not why people believe. And this is my point. This is why I want to have a conversation. What we've been talking about is so nuanced. It's so big. There's no way we're going to do this, be able to get through this on Twitter. I don't care if you believe in God or not. That's not my concern. You're not an American, so you don't vote. You're really like a low value target for me, to be perfectly honest. Not only that, but you're in at least some sort of um, field of science or engineering, and no, that does not give you a pass on using logic. Um, but at least you know how, and I know that you know how. You still accept things, certain things on low um, low value evidence or low. Well, anyway, you accept things on evidence that I would not um, accept. The evidence is too weak when you start looking at it. But again, that's not why people believe things. And when it comes down to it, you and I are just people. I wanted to make this video to just kind of quickly go through our tweets, um, because I I respect you, and I want to make it clear that I'm not using any kind of Jedi mind trick. I'm just not that clever. Just want to have a conversation with you, if you want to, and maybe we don't need to. But anyway, I just wanted to respond. I mean, starting back in December 14th, uh, obviously the conversation was going on, and we were talking about gods being the creators of the universe. Obviously that's a theist claim. Somehow, for some reason, you told me it was logically inconsistent. How can the gods be the creator of the universe if they themselves emerged from the chaos in it? Maybe I was doing something that I do, which is I tend to, making something clear. And something I just recently discovered for myself is that there's nobody more fundamental than an atheist, right? So when I think of religion, when I think of Christianity, I think of good old fashioned Southern Baptist fire and brimstone fundamentalism. And that tends to be the box that I put people in. It is an error of mine. And early on in our conversations, I was not aware that I really shouldn't be doing that, because people have differing beliefs of all kinds, which I knew, of course, on the surface. But that's not the way that I dealt with people, and you in particular. So I don't know what was going on before December 14th, but I just happened to dive into this thread. But evidently, I had said, something specific about the doctrine or whatever, and you said it's logically inconsistent. So I'm figuring that at that point, I probably, decided that I was telling you how you believe Christianity works. Fine, not important. You tell me that you don't believe in pagan gods. Good, I don't either. um, there is no on this evidence of fine tuning. So I understand the exercise that we went through with the Bayesian analysis. Um, so what? That doesn't speak to anything. I mean, first of all, let's talk about why people believe for a second. I don't not believe um, because I reject the idea that a God uh, fine-tuned the universe, and you don't believe. I'm pretty sure I've got this right, that you don't believe in a God or Christianity, or that you need a savior because a God fine-tuned the universe. That whole argument, I don't even care about. It was not interesting to me. I think it was interesting that you ran the numbers, but the numbers are so arbitrary. When you can put in any value for the percent chance that there is a God, right? Anywhere from 0 to 100, who cares? it's like running a trial balance on a fake business plan. Who cares? It's an exercise in futility, and it won't teach you anything, and it won't teach me anything. We don't believe. First of all, I don't believe that there is no God, based on the idea that God had anything to do, or that I want to reject the idea that a God created the universe, and you don't believe it because you think that a God did need to. It turns out that God is a handy solution to the problem for you, and you use it, and that's fine. Since nobody knows what the answer to the question is, you can speculate all you want. But what you can't do, and this was the point that I was trying to make when we got to that, and as I scroll up, we'll get to that. What you can't do is just insert values when there is no reason to insert the values. So when we're doing Bayesian analysis and we're trying to figure out how likely is it that a God fine-tuned the universe, there's no evidence, there's nothing at all that points to the concept that a God needed to fine-tune the evidence or the universe, or even that, and more importantly, even that the universe is fine-tuned. To look at a leaf and see the veins in it and go, wow, the God must have put the veins exactly where they are in that leaf so that it could perfuse the whole structure of the leaf. Well, that's just a reach. It's a fucking leaf. That's what they do. That's how they are. That is what it is. So the fact that the the quote values for the fine tuning of the universe are what they are doesn't mean that it was fine tuned. That just is what it is. You're looking at the veins of a leaf, and until you have some reason to inject this notion of a God, you need to leave that out. And besides that, put it. If you put God in, what have you solved? Now all you've done really is opened up an infinite regress of gods. Now it's turtles all the way down. And that's silly. Why do that? So I think I said, okay, you don't believe atheists give an infinite multiverse as an explanation for fine tuning. I said I don't think that's an actual position held by atheists, but let's keep it personal. What's your best evidence? Well, then, what explains? When the best explanations atheists gives entail Valhalla actually existing, I wouldn't knock pagans. I think that was a joke, but I don't believe that atheists actually talk about Valhalla. I mean, again, you're putting me in the box that I put you in, right? I'm not every atheist. You're not every Christian or every theist or every believer. I've never heard that, so I really don't know what it means. But my response was, I think a multiverse is possible too, in which an army of Thors rule. But even if they'd be relegated to that universe, the point there is that we don't know, right? We don't know what lies outside of our universe. And if it is an infinite series of universes, then there is a universe in which the Thors do rule that universe. An army of Thors rule. But they're stuck in that universe. That's just the way it works. Any crazy, weird, possible thing that you can think of should be out there somewhere in an infinite universe. It doesn't necessarily mean it is, but I think you get the idea. Tell that to my fellow atheists who routinely fall back on an infinite multiverse, which would include Thor and the Tooth Fairy. Okay, so obviously you recognize that the Tooth Fairy would have to exist, Thor would have to exist. When you say fellow atheists, I think what you are really, and maybe you know or have argued with atheists who say that this is a necessity, right? An infinite multiverse. We don't know. So if somebody is telling you that that has to be, or that that is the um, reason that things are the way that they are, that there's an infinite multiverse, that is not that is not a standard. um, I mean, that is faith, right? That's belief without evidence. That's injecting an idea when what you really should be saying, or injecting your hypothesis when what you really should be saying is, I don't know. I don't, because I don't know if there's an infinite universe. Maybe there is an infinite multiverse. Maybe there is. I don't know. You don't know. Cosmologists don't know. We're working on it. Maybe one day there will be. You know, string theory says anywhere between what 11 and infinite. But there is not one shred of evidence for string theory. It just happens to work in the math realm. So it's kind of a useless thought. Okay, so I say I don't believe in Thor for the same reasons you don't. There's no reason to believe. I just go one god further. Why don't I believe in Thor? Oops. Well, for a start, if there were infinite other universes, Thor would actually exist. Yep. Okay. But what about your life? Oh, I said granted. But would you change anything about your life if you believed in no other or infinite other universes? It's inconsequential. True, you say. So we're basically on the same page there. uh, why was the universe not constrained to be one of the countless many more which cannot contain life? Looks like I didn't answer that directly. So, oh, well, first, oh gosh, I'm skipping stuff. How about anywhere else in a huge range of possible parameter space? So I said, well, we don't know of any other universes. You said, well, why was the universe not constrained to be one of the countless many with more which cannot contain life? Well, there you go. That's conjecture. This universe that we're in could be the only one, and it could be the only way a universe could happen. We don't know. And that's it. And anything else is intellectually dishonest. It's fun to talk about, and I'm happy to talk about it. I love to theorize this stuff. So, I mean, like, we're totally on the same page. I would love to just speculate, with you. That would be a fine exercise. Um, so I say, actually, I totally do. As a materialist, that everything we need is tangible. I don't see any need for the supernatural at all. You're up against, and you said, but you're up against exactly the same problem. You don't have a reason to expect that on atheism. Uh, I'm a little bit lost on what I was saying, to be perfectly honest. Um, I think what I'm saying here is, yeah, that everything is we have everything we need. We have everything to create life, to create stars and planets and galaxies and to create life. And your response is, sure, but you're up against exactly the same problem. You don't have a reason to expect that on atheism. I have all the reason to expect that on atheism, because I don't need the questions that we can't answer, the things I don't expect. I'm okay with just saying I don't know. I'm not okay with just saying I don't know and leave it at that. That's why I stay up on as best I can. I mean, for Pete's sake, I'm a dad and I work 50 hours a week, but um, as best I can, I try to stay up on cosmology and science, and I'm very interested in cosmology and physics and that kind of stuff. So, um, but it's like to say that because I don't believe in a God, that comes with extra baggage. Like, well, okay, so I can throw out God, and now I need all these other things, or I should see all these other things or possibilities or ways because I'm an atheist. Again, it's an intellectually dishonest point of view. The only thing that my atheism guarantees is that I don't believe in a God. Um, and I say, okay, just because you can tweak something, it doesn't mean it was tweaked. It could be the only natural outcome. Okay, so that's what we were talking about before, where the universe is just a universe, perhaps. Uh, since the standard model has free parameters determined experimentally. Yeah, okay. I don't. Um, I, I mean, free parameters. Maybe you. So this is why I would love a conversation. I mean, if this is something important, I mean, if this is real evidence to you, this particular point, then this is why we need to have a conversation. Because what is free parameters? Does that mean that we should or that we can go tweak gravity? Because last I checked, we can't. Or the values of the strong force or the weak force or any force. I mean, so we can't go tweak those. They have in the math, they have a number associated with them. But if you're telling me that human beings can tweak those numbers and literally change the way that physics works, well, that I'm not so sure about, and I would love to know more. Uh, what thing do I think explains fine tuning? Is that isn't true? I'm not sure how we got to that. I don't know. I'm not sure how I got to that. If belief in God provides better explanatory power over what we see, this is a perfectly valid way of reasoning. Okay, this is it. This is what has stumped me. I started a blog post. I wrote pages and pages and pages and would delete it and write pages and pages and pages and would delete it and pages and pages and pages. I wrote because I'm there's a message here that I think so the problem that I was having is with this statement. This says everything about why I think being a theist is intellectually dishonest. Eh, I don't mean that. That's not at all what I mean. I think that being a theist gives you an extra way of reasoning that is not perfectly valid, but within the worldview is. Listen to this. If belief in God provides better explanatory power over what we see, that's a perfectly valid way of reasoning. I'm sorry, it is not. Um, this goes back to what I said in the beginning. You can't inject values into the unknown. You can't insert God to explain away all the mysteries or the things that we don't understand. Having a God in the picture, even if it does, I mean, listen to how easy this is. God did it. That thing that happened the other day, that upset you, came out of the blue, was a mystery to you. You have no idea why that happened. God did it. That is not a perfectly valid way of reasoning. The universe came to be 14.7 billion years ago, and we don't know why. But what we know is God did it. No, this is not a perfectly valid way of reasoning. You don't get to do this. And you said that you were in science, and I think later on somewhere, I try to make the point to you. At least I remember thinking about it when we were having this conversation. Like, is there any point in your work, in your science or engineering, where when there's a mystery value, you just go God. You just put God in there, write it in with some value, whatever value you want. because what it means is God and it's the perfect value. You don't understand why it's there or what it is or what it means or how it came to be, but God. The answer is, and I already know this, no, you don't do that. And I think what you were trying to say is that these, oh man, I forgot what equations it were. The electrical equations. You're going to know what I'm thinking about, and I'll find the name here pretty soon. But you're telling me that these equations are the ones that prove God. I really should go find it because I think it's close. Um, I'm going to get to it here, and then I'll try to come back. Oh, I'm really sorry about this. I wonder if I do this. Oh, come on. Okay, I'm not seeing it. Oh, maybe I am. And I'm looking for the wrong thing. No. Okay, anyway, we'll find it. uh, oh, yeah. So you can't just insert. You can't just insert God whenever things don't don't fit or they're not true. So okay, so basically for the atheist explanation, so basically for your best atheist explanation to be true, you require something which on the face of it appears to be untrue. I think this is on the subject of fine tuning. Um, I'm not entirely sure about that. But let's just say, for the sake of argument on this particular point, fine, I accept the universe was fine tuned by a God. Hook it to Christianity, hook it to Noah, hook it to Jesus. Where does this web of amazing leaps of mental gymnastics stop? That's why you can't do this. Because if you're willing to jump to that, if you think that I need an explanation for atheism or for the universe as an atheist, you're wrong. I don't. And I don't proclaim to have one either. I will listen to the scientists who work on that, and if they have an idea, um, honestly, no matter what it is, if the majority of them agree, I'll probably accept that with the proviso, with the caveat that I realize they could be wrong and that pretty soon they could very well turn around and say, nope, sorry, the universe is not flat, it's a sphere, whatever. I don't know. The point is, just on that, sort of on that topic, and people accuse atheists of using faith. Oh, well, you guys accept science on faith because none of you are the scientific experts. Yeah, um, I get what you're saying, but no, it's not faith in that way. I don't take it in spite of all evidence or contrary to all of the evidence. I don't accept what science says. If science says that we were pooped out by flowers, that the first human was pooped out by a flower, I would say, I think that's pretty unlikely to be true. I will probably reject this a premise because based on the things that I do know about evolution, for example, that just can't be. Um, so, anyway, what I say then is, and even if it were, perhaps the reason it couldn't be any other way is because, oh, you said that, because an unchangeable God exists. You said you have reason to believe what you say isn't true. For example, free parameters in the standard model. I don't even know what that means yet. If belief in God provides better explore, yeah. See, over what we see. That's a perfectly valid reason. No, it's not. I said to you, I said maybe. I don't know. Neither do you, nor does anyone else. Is it honest to say God when we don't know? I think I've beaten that horse to death. You're making the claim in this case that it couldn't be different. What's your evidence? Oh, so you think the burden of proof on my I don't know is on me? No, I think you're going to have to do better than that. I mean, not that I am rejecting the burden of proof, because I think I do have some ideas that are equally weighty to God did it, like that's the way it has to be. When a universe pops into existence, um, that that what we get here is the way it has to be. That is a perfectly reasonable, based on evidence, because here we are. That's a perfectly reasonable conclusion. It's a hypothesis, though, right? It's not a fact. It's not a theory. It's just a hypothesis, and I wouldn't be I wouldn't at this point be making a claim. I would not be putting this belief up to scrutiny, um, because I'm saying I don't know. It could be that this is the way things have to be. So I'm afraid I can't, I really can't show you my evidence outside the fact that when we don't know something, here's what we know. Here's what we know. When we don't know something, we can't say God did it. We have to say I don't know. And when we have some evidence, like the universe is expanding faster and faster, and in some places faster than the speed of light, which shouldn't be possible, except that relativity tells us, obviously, that that's just the way it looks from here. And that at one point in time, based on what we see right now, everything that we see right now was scrunched into an infinitely tiny, infinitely dense, infinitely hot. Rules of the laws of physics don't apply. Uh, anything could be happening in there. We don't know. And that's where we start from. And from that, we can theorize that bang, who knows what happened, but the universe started rapidly expanding. And by the way, what we do know for fact, is like a few femtoseconds after the Big Bang. That is incredible. And those that we have facts, we know, we understand. We get how that works up to a few femtoseconds. That is something. That is amazing. That is incredible. Now, if God lies in the first few femtoseconds, fine. But where is he? And that's it. That's the claim of atheism. I don't buy it. I don't believe that there is a God. I don't think we need him to explain anything. I don't think he had to fine tune anything. I'm saying he, that's a cultural bias. I hope no one's offended at my he. But anyway, so I say the better question is, how do you know? When it comes to origins, we should admit we don't know. Then you ask me again, how do I know? Okay, there's peer-reviewed literature saying the opposite. Okay, so I went and looked at this abstract. This doesn't tell us anything. I mean, to be perfectly frank, it just doesn't tell us anything. This is, I mean, it says this paper can be viewed as a critique of Victor Stanger's book or read independently. Okay, fine. You disagree with Stanger. Great. What does that tell us? It's all. Although I think Stanger makes some good points, it's still all conjecture. right? Because we don't know. We don't know. So I respond. Fine tuning is an assumption. The way things are may be the only way they could be. The universe and the earth are very, very hostile, meaning that if this is finely tuned for life, holy crap, I'd hate to see being left to the dogs. Because, I mean, what? It took, let's see, the earth is what, 4.3 billion years old, and humans have been around for maybe, if Dawkins and guys like him are right, maybe 250,000 years at the very outside. That is a lot of Earth history. That's a very long 6-day period. Let's put it that way. So, what your answer to it is? What your answer to it is? Why does the universe appear fine-tuned for life? Well, I think you said it. Maybe it appears fine-tuned for life, but where is the evidence that there is one? And so I think I probably didn't understand this at the time. My response was kind of weak. You want to know what it is? Okay, sure. But first, I'd like to know what, in general, I'll try not to push too hard, the fine-tuning argument is. Oh, in general, I'll try not to push too hard. What? I think you're trying, yeah. So you're asking me what? But first, I'd like to know what, in general, I'll try not to push too hard, to the fine-tuning argument. Oh, I think my answer. So I said, well, I'm happy to discuss why I don't believe. I think my reason's pretty damn good. Same as you. Oh, I said darn. Same as you, I imagine. Let's talk about it. So you know exactly the evidence reasons you say Christians don't have. We don't ask why you don't believe in Thor because we have a millennia of Christian reasons for believing in monotheism. Believing monotheism is better than paganism. Okay, but which one? I mean, let's just say that's true. Not everybody is a Christian. I mean, I think you guys outweigh everybody by a little bit, but you almost have an equal amount of Muslims and you have slightly less Jews, and then you still have 2.1 billion people who believe in 330 million gods. So, I mean, what does that tell us? It really tells us nothing. Let's see. I say I want to know that. I want to know that. What the hell do I mean by that? I don't have a claim to challenge. You wouldn't ask me why I don't believe in Thor. Except as we've been saying, your beliefs aren't even meant to be mentioned. How can they be shown to be wrong? Unreasonable beliefs. Unreasonable beliefs. Then I've done a valuable and important deed for them. I think what I mean here... Boy, my responses are kind of kooky, right? I think what I mean here is that... peace out, yo. My daughter just came home. I apologize. So basically what I think I mean here is that if I haven't defended my beliefs, then I've done a valuable and important deed for them, because my beliefs are just a rejection of belief. What is there to defend? Originally, you told me the person was honestly inquiring because they wanted to know and wasn't just one person being examined. So I think our thread got a little screwed up at one point in time. Oh, I'm actually working backwards. Holy shit. God, I didn't even know that. What an idiot. Sorry. Oh, whatever. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this came from that's right, this came from a blab. I forget exactly what we were talking about. I I saw that you had come into the Blab, and I was really hoping that you would um, talk or that join us. I think somebody said something unkind about theism, or maybe even you directly. When they got finished talking, I addressed your points and looked for you, and you were gone. And then you said, "Why not address them here? It was a waste of my time." Well, I don't really remember what the points were. I said, "Did we miscommunicate? I hope we can talk about this stuff further." You said, "I'm pretty much convinced none of you care about epistemology, only using persuasion techniques to attack religion." Um, yeah, so I have met this guy named Mark who does a podcast called Fundamental Escape. It's on YouTube. I've talked to him a couple, 3 times. He hates street epistemology. I've not made any progress with him on the question of street epistemology. He's a former street preacher, and he feels like that what we're doing is going out there and talking to people on the street, and we are telling them that believers are stupid, and that they should feel foolish or whatever for believing what they believe, whatever. Um, so, of course, my argument with you about this idea of epistemology, and again, speaking of things that I have learned about recently, I have recently learned about this idea of belief. Mark introduced me to Pastor Doug Pagitt, um, who's written a couple of books on this emergent church sort of phenomenon that's going on. I had actually never heard of it in the U.S. We're very fundamental here, right? Most of the people that you hear about, see about, whatever, are very fundamentalist. But Mark has really showed me that people, not all people believe that way. It's not cool for atheists to put everybody in that same fundamentalist box. All valid points of his. What he is not grasping yet, what he's not able to get past, is his own feelings about street preaching, and applying those to this idea of street epistemology. If you see what street epistemologists do and the conversations that we have, you see that it is not like a Ray Comfort kind of, "Have you ever told a lie? Well, then you're a liar and you're going to hell." Oh, no, wait, that's British, not Australian. I can't do Australian. Or no, New Zealand. Anyway, that is that is a bunch of crap, and that's not the way that we work. Anyway, you're pretty much convinced none of you care about epistemology, only using persuasion techniques to attack religion. Well, you're not going to find anybody flying the banner of SE who says, SE being street epistemology, that we are attacking religion. Nor is it persuasion techniques. Simply asking a few questions. Do you have a good reason to believe this? If you do, great. If you don't, maybe you want to think about it. Because there are lots of, if it boils down to this idea that we as people want to believe as many true things as possible, then you need to start worrying about how you decide what is true. And if your criteria for that is getting your facts and your information from a 2,000-year-old book written by anonymous authors throughout the ages, at least 30 to 60, even 150 years after the events in question, then you have some real problems. You need some other way to validate that these things are true. If you have them, great. Tell me about them. I want to know, because the fact of the matter is, if there is a God, and it's the Christian God, and he's out there, and I'm going to burn because I don't believe in him, then I really do want to know that. Don't you think I should? I do. So, street epistemology is not about telling you that you're wrong. It's about asking you, as I have said, why do you believe this? Are your beliefs justified? If they are, great. What have I got to say about it? If you're satisfied with the reasons that you believe this stuff, fine. And that's really the final word on it. I'm not going to tell you you're stupid. I'm not going to tell you that I'm better than you, or any of that nonsense. It just and I don't need to tell you things like love the sinner, hate the sin, that kind of thing. I wish you would come around because you're gonna burn in hell. You're just not going to hear that stuff from me. You're going to hear, well, it was really nice talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. I hope I see you again soon. Take care. That's how the conversation ends with street epistemology. That's not how it ends with a street preacher. Pardon me. So anyway, so you say I have no real wish to answer pedantic questions down to the level of which the library. Yeah. Okay. That's not quite it either. Although, if these papyri are the reason you believe, and it matters if you believe because they are at a particular library, and that should matter to someone's belief, then I would like to hear about that. But generally, I don't care. Generally, and I hope that you will think about this, generally, your beliefs are not based on these facts. The facts only bolster your beliefs. You believe on some other level. You believe because it was trained into you. Yes, you were, quote, indoctrinated. You believe because you want to, makes you feel good. I don't know. They're entirely your reasons to believe, but they're not based on these facts, and that's the point. So anyway, you continue your rant by people who are only faking interest. They just want to prove you don't know something, and even if you do, they don't care. Actually, I don't want to talk about when I'm doing street epistemology, or anybody else that I know of is doing street epistemology. And just for the record, street epistemology is a general term which means talking to people in the field, in the world, about their epistemology. It doesn't mean that you're doing it on the street, a la Anthony Magnabosco, although that's a great way to do it. Most of us do it online. Most of us do it in videos or on Twitter, or I really like Blab, whatever. We're not faking interest. I mean, I guess in general, there may be people who are doing SE who really don't care, who really do have all the motivations that you are objecting to. But I've never seen one, and that's being perfectly honest. I have never seen a video, nor heard an audio clip, nor seen a social media thread where somebody who is using the techniques of street epistemology to bait someone into a "oh my God, you are stupid" type conversation. That is not how it works. To be honest, we don't even want to know about facts. I don't care about who said it better, Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. That is not of interest to me. It really isn't. If it's of interest to you, then I'm happy to discuss it, and you can tell me why. But when it comes down to it, that's not the reason you believe either. And street epistemology is interesting for that one reason, is that we can talk about really why you do believe. We can get into those fine points of, things that you haven't even thought about. And that's the whole point, right? You haven't thought about this stuff. You don't know why you believe. You just do. And you look to the facts to bolster your belief. But I promise you, in a conversation, we could find out that none of that matters. Doesn't matter. And we could find that out in 4 minutes and spend the next minute talking about the one thing that does keep you believing it, sorry, which is faith or trust or whatever word that you want to use for that. And we can spend that last minute talking about why that's not a good reason to believe stuff, why faith is not a good epistemology. If I use faith to make decisions about the world, there's no fact that I can't confirm, including the fine-tuning of the universe. See my point? Faith is at the heart of your beliefs, probably. Prove me wrong. I mean, now that I've told you that this is my target, right? You're never going to come out with that. I know that for sure. But in general, this is what we want to know. You believe on faith. All these other things just bolster your the belief that you already have. But there's not one of these facts that can really back it up. And I will ask you a question like, if we were to discover that, I don't know, we found the bones of Christ, and we're certain it's him, and I show him to you, and you're like, whoa, I am satisfied, to my own standards, that those actually are the bones of Christ, because they're floating, I don't know, in this ossuary, right? Whatever it is. Just, the question is, if there was something, I don't know what it is, but if that I could show to you that proved to you beyond to your complete satisfaction that fact X about your religion that you just told me was very important to you is not true, would you still believe it? And the answer is inevitably, yes, I would believe it. And that's when we put away all these facts. That's when we quit talking apologetics and counter apologetics. That's when we quit talking about the ontological or the anthropic principle or the blah, 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 blah. Who cares? That isn't why you believe stuff. Right. So my response to you was, again, not much argument for me on that. If your SE doesn't care about discovering truth, then he's not doing SE. Really? So why doesn't your diagram emphasize holding down your own beliefs lightly of learning, of reconsidering, and valuing truth? Are you talking about... Come on. I know you are up there. Oh, for Pete's sake. You are talking about this document that I posted on my blog. Okay, so what is an interlocutor? Let's go find a definition. Let's go make sure I'm not full of shit. Interlocutor. God damn, I can't type. A person who takes part in a dialogue or conversation. So, in the process of SE, who is the interlocutor? Is it the person who is doing, who has the knowledge of street epistemology, or is it the person who is being asked the questions? The answer is it's both of you. So, knowing that, let's take a look at this map. Wonder, determine belief, establish rapport, elicit belief and commitment level. What do you believe in and why? Who's answering this question? Well, okay, it's probably the guy that I stopped, but it's a conversation. Could you not ask me this? When we watch a video of Anthony, for example, Anthony Magnabosco, Magnabosco 210 on YouTube, when he is doing street epistemology and somebody says, well, wait a minute, what do you believe? What does he tell them? Does he tell them, I'm not going to tell you? I don't want to have that discussion. Please don't ask me any questions. Nope. He says, I'm totally happy to discuss that with you, but I would like to spend the next 5 minutes talking to you first. And then whoever that person is that he's talking to could be William Lane Craig. It could be, I don't know, the neighbor down the street, whatever. Point is, these are conversation techniques, right? How did you come to this belief? Restating this hypothesis and combining belief and method. Why? So Elenchus, this is the question and answer, right? This is the heart of the conversation. Who's asking? Who's answering? This is a conversation. You guys got so pissed off over this diagram. It was really laughable. It's just a conversation. So, I don't know, whatever. You guys, that's the thing about beliefs, right? You believe it is whatever it is, and I can argue, I can show you evidence that supports that it's not, or that it is, or whatever, and you want to believe whatever you want to believe. And that's fine. I get it. I totally get it. People have to have their beliefs. They have to have the stuff that they are into. So anyway, you say really, oh, I already read this. So why doesn't your diagram emphasize holding down your own beliefs lightly, of learning, of reconsidering, and valuing truth? That is the whole point. That is the whole point. So I said anyway, it's flowchart. Put everything there is to be said about quantum computing on a chart so I can tell you it's stupid, please. And you said, how would you know if an epistemology was too skeptical? I would know if it was for me. If we were talking about it, you'd know for you. SE doesn't tell you anything. You tell yourself. I can't make that answer any better. That's really what it's about. This, like I said in the very beginning of this, if you're satisfied with the reasons that you hold onto your deeply held beliefs, what am I going to do about it? I'm not going to do a thing. I'm not going to touch those beliefs. So, but if we have a conversation and you discover, not because I'm again, this is not about facts, not because I give you some bit of information or tell you that, oh, come on, silly, you shouldn't believe Christianity because you pinned your belief in Christianity on Paul, on the epistles of Paul. Well, Paul, where did he get Christianity from? Did he learn it from the Christians? No. Did he meet Jesus? No. No, the whole thing was revealed to him. So in a sense, he's telling you, oh, this whole friggin' narrative that I'm giving you came from a revelation from God. If that happened today, we would clearly look at whoever is saying that as a crazy person. But back in the day, back when Paul was around, revelation was the best way to get it from God. or to learn something. Revelation was the best way. It was revered. Um, but who cares? Doesn't matter. Forget it. These are facts that don't matter, because you'll have an answer and I'll have an answer for that, and you'll have an answer and I'll have an answer for that, and we don't care. This is not about that. This is about determining for yourself if you're really satisfied. So you said, is it true for you? And I said, what? You said, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to paraphrase your answer. You'd know because that's true for you. Um, yeah, that's exactly right. If you are satisfied, well, because that's true for you. I'm not sure. I don't think you mean it this way, but I have to go off on this track for a second. True for you. This is actually something that we hear in street epistemology. Well, it's true for me. And here's how it gets set up. So I'll ask a Christian, for example. So when you think of a Muslim, they're devout. They believe as strongly and as wholeheartedly as you do about Allah, um, and they love Him and they want good things from Him, and they want to honor and please Allah as much as you do Christianity. Are they wrong? And generally, the answer I get from the guy off the street is one of three things. Option number one, well, it's their right to believe that. Yeah, okay, we're not talking about their right. Of course, they have the right to believe that, as you have your right to believe that. And I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear people say that we all have the right to believe whatever we want. That is important. And by the way, I know you're not an American, but if you were, I would fight and die to defend your right to believe whatever nonsense you want to believe. Um, so this is not about trying to take your rights away um, or prevent you from worshiping or anything like that. This is about trying to get people to believe things that are true, and to realize that believing things on insufficient or even contrary evidence um, is not a good reason to believe things. So, is it true for me? So there's that guy has a right to believe that. The other answer is to the question of are they wrong is no, it's true for them. To which I hear like the record player, you know, tone arm being scratched across the record. What? It's true for them? You mean like your belief is true for you? What does that mean? Well, if you believe in something strong enough, then it's true for you. Do you mean that a person acts as if it's true and that makes it real? Or they act as if it's true, but it's not really real? Now, generally, these things diverge. Um, there's, again, of course, the two answers, and I've heard them both, which is, well, um, no, yes, it is true for them. Because they believe it, it's true for them. Which, of course, I think is just completely nutty. Um, because it's not the belief that you believe in. And the point there is God, the God, either exists or does not exist. This is a binary proposition, I would think. And if we were talking, I would ask you this, and I think you would agree with me. There is either a God or there is no God. There's no half gods. There's no could be God, sometimes God, a maybe God, right? He either exists or he does not exist. So this is a binary proposition. If you believe that your beliefs are true and that there is one true God, then um, then that Muslim guy is wrong. If I'm talking to a Muslim and we're using you as the example and he's right, then you're wrong. It cannot be that there is a Christian God and there is a Muslim God, and the Christian tenets get the Christian, and following the Christian tenets get the Christian into heaven, and following the tenets of Islam gets the Muslim into heaven. It cannot be. Those are not possibilities. These two gods cannot occupy the same space. And I think we all agree on that. So, true for you, um, again, I don't think you meant it this way, uh, but wow, true for you. No, shit is not true for me. Shit is not true for you. Shit is either true or it's not true. I have a fucking computer on my desk. I have a couple of guitars sitting over there. My son is sleeping. My wife and daughter are sleeping. Those things are true. They are true for me. They are true for you. Maybe you don't know about them. I know about them, but they are fucking true. And it is not acceptable for all of us to run around with our own truths. Um, I can't have the truth based on faith that my finances will support a new Ferrari when my wife is living the reality that, when we get paid on Thursday, she can finally go out and buy another 12 pack of Coke for her refrigerator because she likes to drink a Coke. Okay, things aren't that bad. But anyway, you know what I mean. There is no true for you. Shit's either true or it's not true. Okay, so so anyway, then I said, but if you're willing and I'm not a dick, we can talk about why you believe a thing and discover what's right. And you said, would you agree that some people are easier to convince than others? Yeah, ever seen a street preacher at work? I think I was just being saucy. Would you also agree that some are much harder? Yes, obviously. How hard should you be to convince of what? A tiny inconsequential question or a huge fly planes into building questions? Beliefs inform actions. Okay. So you said, so I guess I can wait on this. So that's why it's an important question. Would you evaluate them differently? Yeah, of course. On the doctrines of Islam, I'm going to be much more skeptical. You said if climate change is important, should we naturally be climate skeptics? Well, I guess it depends on the claims. If science said we feel the climate is changing in our hearts, yeah, be skeptical. So you said, I guess for a question like that isn't that it is important that we get it right. I'm not sure basing ourselves to the negative helps. Uh, shouldn't try not to be biased either way. Um, should we be biased towards reality and experience? It's in our nature. The guy who identifies the tiger first may live longer. Experience rather than say our reason. Both and not one over the other, especially on consequential claims. I think both are important too. So I say take UFOs for example. I want to know if they were visiting, but I'm doubtful. If a person has compelling evidence, I'm all ears. I'd be worried if there are UFOs, that they are predators, but that's off topic. Well, but that's the point. With SE, we can talk it out, look at the evidence, and determine what we want to believe about it. Okay, I want to back up because I think we missed conversation, got a little bit derailed, and this is what I hate about Twitter. I mean, we're having such a good dialogue, right? But I'm busy and you're busy, and neither one of us can respond to the other, super promptly. Well, especially me. I mean, I'm extra terrible at it, and I'm not pinning this on you at all. Um, I don't know what I was thinking when I said the doctrines of Islam. I'm going to be much more skeptical. I think what I was trying to do here is just not make this about Christianity. I didn't want to. I think I didn't. That's at least what's in my head right now. But whether it be Christianity or Islam or whatever, on these faith claims like I got to do X or I'm going to burn, um, especially when the positive side of the claim is God loves you, God knows you, God takes care of you, God provides for you. Bullshit. I haven't seen it. All you have to do is reach out to God and He'll get back to you. Nope, I've done that too. No response. Blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I mean, I think you're going to have to be, I think it is important um, okay, so nature of claims, right? If my best friend tells me that he had a BLT for lunch today, and I know him to be somebody who eats bacon and lettuce and tomato and bread, um, I will probably accept that claim without any evidence, knowing that he could be full of shit. But I'm okay with that. I just take it because who cares? If he had a club sandwich and savored the turkey as it was going down, but told me he had a BLT, what it's completely inconsequential, has no effect on me whatsoever. I don't need to be very skeptical of that claim. Now, if he tells me, or I remember from previous conversations that he tells me he hates BLTs, and that he would only get a club because he's big into the turkey and the ham, uh, and then he told me he ate a BLT, I would say, "What? You told me you hated BLTs." And answer to that question, uh, the answer that he gives me to that question would sort of decide if I accept the claim or move on. However, if my friend, forget it, if my best friend, no, this is important that he's my friend. I trust him. We're good friends. We've known each other. I don't think he's a liar. My best friend tells me that not only did he see an alien last night, but there was an alien in his room last night. I love this guy. He's a good friend. I don't know him to be a liar. I also don't know him to be an irrational person who would jump straight to actual aliens in his actual bedroom at night. I'm going to ask him very seriously, whoa, what? What are you talking about? I mean, you saw an alien in your bedroom last night. Tell me about this. And depending on the answers to these questions, that's how we decide whether or not we accept this claim. Knowing, again, that whatever he tells me could be just straight delusion. It could be straight up high school LSD flashback. I have no idea. I've never actually heard of a real flashback. But long story short, or actually no story, this I can't these humongous claims, these great important life-changing paradigm shift claims must be evaluated with the weight and require the evidence that they deserve. So he tells me he saw an alien in his backyard, in his bedroom. I'm gonna say, how did he get in? Let's go look around. Can we find alien fingerprints or tentacle prints on the glass? Can we find a burn spot where the spaceship landed in the backyard? Let's see some evidence for this claim. And frankly, if it's not there, I'm going to believe it's delusion because it's too big. So you accept the claim commensurate with the oh fudge. The doubt should be equal to the size of the claim, basically. If it's a huge claim, you should probably have a lot of doubt. If it's a minor claim, who cares? So that's how, according, based on this question, that's why you said that's why it's an important question. Would you evaluate them differently? You better believe it. I would. So then you asked about climate change. If climate change is important, should we naturally be climate skeptics? I think what you mean there is like, should we be skeptical of the evidence that we see for climate change? Um, if that's, I think that's the way I took it. And if that is not right, obviously correct me. Oh boy, I got to take a break. This is fucking tiring. But I hope so far it's been useful to listen to. Again, I've tried to write all this out in a blog post. It's not working. And maybe I don't even need to, I am just going to wrap it up here. I'm going to say this. On that last point, the claims of Christianity, the claims of all of the religions, are too big, they're too valuable, and they are based on too little fact for me to accept it. That's it. That's the basis of my atheism. That doesn't make me immoral. And if you want to have a conversation about morality, I'd love to have it. It doesn't make me think that you're stupid. Clearly, I don't think you're stupid. That has never been my deal anyway. I'm not one of those God theists or idiots, retards, whatever. I don't do that to them, although I do put them in the fundamentalist box, as I've learned. And I hope they don't do that to me. They don't make me the fedora wearing idiot atheist, or not idiot, but what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever. So, anyway, that's the upshot, Sally. I hope this has been useful to you. The hour that it is, I have brained my drain. See, that's it. I'm done. that was my sign off. I brained my drain. Take care, buddy. I hope I will see you or talk to you soon. Goodbye.